Alright, got a K&N air filter. Gonna put on the R6. Figured that since I got the jet kit, it'd be safe to run the K&N air filter now. So, gonna start by just getting the tank off of there. Then there's this little spring clip. It's gonna hold this breather. So pop right off of here. And then there's like 6 screws holding this on. So get those screws off and this lid will come off. Alright, so once you get that lid off of there, and you got your little cage that you're gonna pop off. It's a stock air filter. Okay, now with the K&N, this whole piece, you're gonna take it out and remove it. That filter is gonna replace this. So now's a good time to kind of go through, take a look inside of here. You might want to wipe out the air box if it's dirty. You know, same thing with the lid. You know, just kind of go through it, make sure it's clean. So when you go to install the K&N, I'm just going to set it on top of here. It looks like the opening for the K&N is actually quite a bit bigger too. So, should make a pretty decent difference. So yeah, just make sure it's all fits in here correctly. And just put that lid back on. Alright, so just as a comparison for the opening, it's the stock piece. So yeah, K&N's quite a bit bigger actually. Alright, so when you get the air lid back on, the instructions say to work from the front to the back. So get the screws in there, start snugging them up on the front, then move back to the next set. And then do the final 2 in the back. And tighten the lid from front to back. And just reinstall this breather. The spring clamp back where it needs to be. That's it. It's all set. Quick and easy. Alright, it's been a while since I put a new fuel filter in, so picked one up at the Yamaha dealer. Gonna throw this one on there. So first thing I'll do is get the tank back on here. Alright, so doing a fuel filter is pretty simple. There's usually a mounting bolt here. I don't know what happened to mine. I got zip tied for some reason, so I'm going to first disconnect the hose coming from the tank, and then I'll chop this zip tie, pop the filter out, and just mount the new one in there. Alright, so cut the zip tie off. Got the new filter. Filter's got an arrow. It shows which direction the fuel should be flowing. So obviously just going to replace it the same way it was sitting in there. Slide this bracket onto the new one. Just twist this old one off. New one I'll just push on there. So, got the clamp, go back there. Zip tie tightened up on there. Cut the tail off. Final part is to reconnect the hose going to the fuel pump. There it is, all finished up. You know, it's easy to forget about the fuel filter, but definitely want to stay on top of keeping that thing clean so you get an adequate fuel flow. Alright, gonna do a oil change on the R6. Got some Castrol synthetic 540. I used to run 550, but I don't think they make 550 anymore, so guess I'll have to do 540. Then I'm gonna throw this K&N oil filter on there, K&N 303. There's a Fram filter that fits the R6 as well, PH6017A. So it's up to you. I kind of like the K&N. It's got the little nut on there, makes it a little easier to deal with. So that's what I'm going to throw on there. Alright, so got the drain pan, got my oil. Like I talked earlier, if anyone's been watching my other videos, my carb issues, you know, the bike was smoking and all that, and when I got the new carbs on there, I changed the oil. I actually put some of this Valvoline in there, and I think what had happened is a lot of fuel had gotten into the oil with the carburetors being messed up. So when I did that oil change with the Valvoline, it pretty much stopped the smoking. I think there was just too much fuel in that oil for the oil to function properly. So putting the new oil in there seemed to help the rings seal properly and stop smoking. So going back to this, what I usually run is Castrol. So I got that in there, and I personally like to get the bike warmed up. I'm not a big fan of doing oil changes with cold oil, so it's warmed up, took it for a ride. Caught myself a dragonfly too. That's pretty disgusting. At least it didn't hit my face. That would have been pretty not cool. So anyways, the drain plug 17 millimeter. I got the K&N filter on there, so I can use this to take the filter off as well. But if you don't have a K&N filter on there, you can just use a filter wrench. It's kind of hard getting this in there, but I can get it in there good enough to break a filter loose. Like when I'm running the Fram filter, I'll use that. So got the filter here on the left side of the bike. And one of the first things I'm going to do is put some oil inside of that filter. I like to do that first. It gives the oil some time to seep into the pleats of the filter. Alright, so take this little protective layer off of there. Just kind of inspect the filter, make sure it's all good. It's pretty good inside of there, so. I usually fill it up to the top, and then I'll just put it back in the box and let that oil soak in. The next thing I'll do is come over to the fill plug, pop this open. It's going to help the oil drain faster, so the engine won't be airlocked. Okay, so got the 17 mil. Alright, so while the oil's still draining out of the pan, I can usually get my drain pan turned enough to where I can start loosening the filter and just let that drain into the pan as well. So this K&N's kind of nice because you got that nut on there. Makes this a lot easier. So I'll just break it loose until it starts draining. Take my filter mag off of here. So when you get the filter off, you know, take a look at where the filter mounts, make sure the gasket didn't stick onto the mounting surface. I usually just take a clean rag and kind of wipe around there. It's always a good idea to wear gloves as well, because there's usually a bunch of grease down here from the chain slinging crap all over the place. So. Alright, so I filled the filter again to the top and let it sit, and then took a little bit of fresh oil and went around that rubber gasket. Now, since this filter sits in there sideways, I don't really try filling it all the way to the top because it's just going to spill out of there, so try to get it about half full. So this is ready to go back on. So I'll spin it on there. Now when I go to tighten this, see how I'm holding it up towards the top and not at the bottom? I don't want to get this on there super tight. I mean, it's got to be snugged up, but you don't want to over tighten it. So holding it close to the top versus the bottom where I'd have more leverage just works out a little better in my opinion. So got the filter snugged up. It's still dripping out of the pan, so I'm just going to let it drip for a while. I'm not in a hurry. Let as much of that old oil get out of there as possible. And while that's happening, I'll inspect the drain plug, get that cleaned off, ready to go back in there. And of course, when you're done putting the filter on, reinstall the filter mag. I like to just snap it around the bottom here. Love these things. Got one for the R6, I'm running one on my Lincoln, and got one on the Mustang too. Pretty awesome. Alright, got the drain plug cleaned up. Make sure you don't cross thread anything. Alright, so when I go to tighten it, I like to keep an extension on here. Kind of cuts down on the torque. And same thing, I'm going to hold it close to the socket. You just want to snug it up. Should be good. Alright, now ready to just fill it with the oil. 3 quarts. When you're finished filling it, let's go ahead and reinstall the cap. Alright, so last thing, I'll just kind of wipe off any residual oil off the bottom and then be ready to start this thing. Alright, double checked everything and ready to start this thing up.